Your Social Security payment is scheduled to arrive this month. You are expecting it the same way you have expected it every month. On the usual day, in the usual amount, into the same account it has always gone to. And for most seniors, that is exactly what will happen. But for a growing number of American retirees in 2026, something unexpected is happening instead. Their payment is delayed. Their account update is not going through. Their banking information cannot be changed the way they have always changed it. Or their paper check, the one they have been receiving for years, simply stops arriving with no advance warning and no explanation they can immediately understand. This is not a system error. It is not fraud. It is the result of 3 specific rule changes that the Social Security Administration and the federal government implemented in 2025 and 2026. Changes that affect how every senior receives their monthly payment, how they update their banking information, and what happens if they do not act before their personal deadline arrives. These are not theoretical changes being debated in Washington. They are already in effect. They are already causing delays, confusion, and missed payments for seniors who were never clearly notified that anything had changed. The Social Security Administration published these changes. Executive orders were signed. Federal Register notices were filed. And according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, the only public announcement of one of the most significant policy changes affecting tens of millions of elderly Social Security recipients came in the form of a technical notice in the Federal Register, with less than 2 weeks of advance notice before the change took effect. If you receive Social Security, SSI, or any other federal benefit, every one of these 3 changes applies to you. And understanding them now, before you encounter one of them unexpectedly, is the difference between a payment that arrives on time and a problem that takes weeks to resolve. The first rule change involves something that most seniors assumed they could always do by phone: changing their direct deposit bank account information. For years, if a Social Security recipient needed to update the bank account their payment went to, because they switched banks, because an account was closed, because they were moving their finances around for any reason, they could call the Social Security Administration's main phone number and make the change over the phone. It was secure. It was convenient. It was the way most seniors handled it. In April 2025, the SSA abruptly stopped allowing direct deposit changes by phone. According to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities' May 2025 analysis of this policy change, SSA now requires beneficiaries who want to change their direct deposit information to either complete a multi-factor, multi-step online verification process to generate a one-time PIN code through their My Social Security online account, or travel in person to their nearest Social Security field office. The impact of this change on seniors is direct and significant. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities analysis found that Social Security itself estimates that half of the people they have traditionally served by phone for direct deposit changes will not successfully meet the new online requirements. Many seniors do not have reliable internet access, do not own a smartphone capable of completing the multi-step verification, or do not have the technological experience to navigate SSA's online portal without assistance. For those seniors, the only alternative is an in-person visit to a Social Security field office. And according to that same analysis, 6 million Americans live more than a 45-mile trip from their closest Social Security office. In rural areas, getting to a field office is not an errand that happens on a Tuesday afternoon. It is a day-long undertaking, and for seniors with mobility limitations, transportation challenges, or health conditions that make travel difficult, it may be effectively impossible without significant assistance. The practical consequence for seniors who need to change their banking information is that the familiar option, a phone call, is no longer available. If your bank changes its routing number, if you close an account, if you switch to a different financial institution, if your bank fails, the process of updating where your Social Security payment goes has become significantly more complicated than it was 1 year ago. If you currently receive Social Security and your banking information is up to date, the most important thing you can do right now is verify that it is correct in your My Social Security account at ssa.gov. Log in, go to the payment section, and confirm the routing number and account number on file are exactly right. If they need to be changed, starting that process now, before an emergency forces you to do it under time pressure, gives you the time to work through the new verification requirements without missing a payment. If you do not have a My Social Security online account, setting one up should be a priority. According to Saving Advice April 2026 analysis, The SSA has expanded 24-hour digital access for account management. And in 2026, the My Social Security Online account is the primary interface through which most benefit management tasks must now be completed. Creating the account, verifying your identity during setup, and familiarizing yourself with the portal before you need it urgently is significantly easier than trying to navigate it for the first time during a payment emergency. The second rule change is one that most seniors have not yet personally encountered, but that will affect every single person receiving any federal benefit who has not already completed the transition. Paper checks are being permanently eliminated. As of September 30th, 2025, Federal Law and Executive Order 14247, titled Modernizing Payments to and from America's Bank Account, require that all federal benefit payments be made electronically. According to the SSA's official June 2026 blog post on this transition, Social Security plans to complete the full transition to electronic payments for all beneficiaries this year. That means if you are still receiving your Social Security payment as a paper check through the mail, that check will stop. Not be delayed. Not arrive later. Stop. The timing of this for individual seniors depends on where they are in the SSA's transition process. Some seniors have already received notice. Others are in the queue. And some, particularly those in rural areas, those with limited banking relationships, and those who have been receiving paper checks for decades without any reason to expect they would change, may not receive adequate notice before the transition affects their payment. The SSA's own statement acknowledges the urgency. Paper checks are 16 times more likely to be lost, stolen, altered, or returned undeliverable than electronic payments. The Department of the Treasury reports that the average cost to print a paper check has increased to $3.07 per check, approximately 20 times more expensive than an electronic payment. The government's financial case for eliminating paper checks is straightforward. But the practical case for seniors who have never had a bank account, who live in communities without accessible banking, or who have simply received paper checks for so long that they assumed it would always be an option, is significantly more complicated. There are two electronic alternatives available for seniors who do not want to or cannot use a traditional bank account. The first is a standard bank checking or savings account with a routing and account number for direct deposit. Any bank or credit union account works. If you already have one, you simply need to add your account information to your My Social Security profile at ssa.gov and designate it for direct deposit. The second is the Direct Express program, a government-issued prepaid debit card specifically designed for Social Security and federal benefit recipients. The card carries a MasterCard network logo and functions like a standard debit card. Payments are deposited onto it automatically each month and can be used for purchases, bill payments, and cash withdrawals at ATMs. For seniors without a bank account, Direct Express is the designated alternative to paper checks. According to NerdWallet's June 2026 analysis, Direct Express is specifically available for seniors who do not have bank accounts and cannot access traditional direct deposit. You can enroll in Direct Express at godirect.gov or by calling 1-800-333-1795. If you currently receive a paper check and have not yet received communication from the SSA about transitioning to electronic payment, do not wait for the letter. The transition is happening whether or not the notice arrives in time. Contact the SSA proactively at 1-800-772-1213 and ask what you need to do to set up electronic payment before your paper check stops. Or enroll in Direct Express immediately as a bridge solution while you work through the process of setting up direct deposit to a bank account. The third rule change involves the speed at which banking information updates take effect, and why that speed, which sounds like good news, creates a specific new vulnerability that the SSA has been warning about since the policy changed. Prior to 2026, when a Social Security recipient updated their direct deposit bank account information, the change took up to 30 days to take effect. The next payment went to the old account. The month after, it went to the new one. That 30-day window was slow and sometimes inconvenient, but it also provided a buffer. If something went wrong with the account update, there was time to catch it and correct it before money was misdirected. In 2026, that 30-day processing window has been eliminated. According to Saving Advice April 2026 reporting on the rule change, direct deposit updates can now be processed in as little as one business day. An account change submitted on Monday may take effect for a payment scheduled for Wednesday. The SSA describes this as a significant improvement. And for seniors who need to switch bank accounts urgently, It is. But it also means that an unauthorized change to your direct deposit information, the kind that happens when a scammer gains access to a Social Security account or convinces a senior to provide their account credentials, can redirect your next monthly payment within 24 hours. Before the previous month, an unauthorized change had a 30-day window in which it could be caught and reversed before any payment was misdirected. That window is now gone. The new identity verification requirements, the multi-step PIN code process that now applies to direct deposit changes, were specifically implemented to address this risk. By requiring a higher standard of identity confirmation before processing a banking change, the SSA built a security layer that is supposed to prevent unauthorized changes even if someone has obtained a senior's login credentials. But the implementation of that security layer is exactly what is creating the access difficulty for seniors who need to make legitimate changes. The same verification process that blocks scammers from redirecting a Social Security payment in one business day is also blocking seniors without internet access, without smartphones, and without the technological experience to navigate a multi-step online verification for making legitimate account updates efficiently. The result is a system where unauthorized changes are harder to make, but where the seniors who most need to make legitimate changes are also facing the most barriers. According to the Independent Center's March 2026 reporting on the SSA's identity proofing requirements, the SSA does permit seniors who cannot use the online My Social Security portal to visit a local office to process direct deposit changes in person. Phone options exist for scheduling those appointments. But with SSA staffing at its lowest level in 50 years and field office resources stretched across a growing beneficiary population, in-person processing times have extended significantly in many areas. The practical response for any senior who is not currently experiencing a direct deposit issue is to take 3 specific steps before a problem occurs. First, log into SSA.gov and verify that your current banking information on file is correct, up to date, and matches an account you intend to keep active. An account that closes, whether because you changed banks, because the bank failed, or because the account became dormant, with your Social Security direct deposit still assigned to it, will result in your payment being returned to the SSA, creating a delay in reissuance that can take several weeks to resolve. Second, set up 2-factor authentication on your My Social Security online account and make sure the phone number and email address associated with that account are current. The new security protocols that protect your direct deposit information rely on the contact information in your profile. If that contact information is outdated, the verification process for any future account change becomes significantly more complicated. Third, make sure at least one trusted family member or designee knows how to access your SSA account information or can accompany you to a field office if a payment issue arises that requires in-person resolution. The new rules have made direct deposit management more dependent on either digital literacy or physical access to an SSA office, and having someone who can assist with either option is a practical safeguard that most seniors have never needed to think about before this year. There is a fourth element of the current direct deposit environment that deserves specific attention, one that was never announced as a rule change, but that is creating real payment disruption for a specific group of seniors right now. It involves the WEP and GPO corrections from the Social Security Fairness Act. When the SSA processed the retroactive benefit corrections for the 3.1 million Americans affected by the WEP and GPO repeal, sending lump sum payments totaling $17 billion starting in February 2025, those payments went to the bank account currently on file with the SSA for each beneficiary. For seniors whose banking information had not been updated in years, or whose account had changed but the SSA record had not been corrected, some of those retroactive payments were deposited to accounts that were no longer active. According to the SSA's official Fairness Act update page, the agency sent mailed notices to beneficiaries explaining their benefit change and the deposit amount. But for seniors whose mailing address was also outdated, those notices may not have arrived at all. If you believe you should have received a retroactive payment under the Social Security Fairness Act, because you received a pension from a government employer that did not pay into Social Security, or because you were the spouse or survivor of someone who did, and you have not received either the lump sum payment or a notice from the SSA explaining your adjusted benefit, your banking information on file with the SSA should be the first thing you verify. A retroactive payment sent to a closed account is returned to the SSA. Recovering it requires contacting the agency and providing current banking information, which now requires the multi-step verification process described above. Here is the straightforward picture of where things stand. 3 rule changes. All of them already in effect. All of them are changing the way your Social Security payment is processed, protected, and updated in ways that most seniors were not clearly told about. Paper checks are ending. Every senior who has not yet transitioned to electronic payment needs to act before their personal deadline arrives. Because waiting for a letter may mean the letter does not arrive before the payment stops. Phone-based direct deposit changes are gone. Every senior who needs to update banking information now requires either a My Social Security online account with a new verification capability or an in-person visit to a field office. An account change is now processed in 1 business day, which is faster and more convenient, but which makes keeping your SSA account credentials secure and your contact information current more important than it has ever been. 3 changes. 3 areas where action taken now prevents a problem from arriving at the worst possible moment. The moment your monthly Social Security payment does not appear when you need it. The payment system works when your information is current, your account is active, and your SSA profile reflects where you actually are and where you actually bank. Making sure all 3 of those things are true right now costs nothing and takes less than an hour.